Thanks, Klong. Oh, wow. Bart, there you are.
Hey, what's going on?
Excellent. I almost started the show like I was answering the phone for help desk.
Yeah. I like the song that was playing, too, when I showed up.
Oh, yeah. I like that song, too. It's on my iPod. I was actually playing it directly off my iPod. Like, I had put the headphones, like, right next to the little mic. But anyway, I wanted to say what's up to Secret Man, who's being interactive on the message board there. And I would like to thank you, Bart, for calling in. And I wanted to wish you a very merry unbirthday.
Are you being politically correct?
I'm just being me, man. I'm being autonomous.
It was your unbirthday last month, right?
It's my unbirthday every day, except for November 18th.
That's right. Is it also Christmas?
You got it.
Merry and Christmas.
I think it actually really is Hanukkah, though, right?
Could be.
Right? Yeah. We're culturally educated. There's only 87,000 different ones on Earth, so. But I just want to say welcome to the UFO and Time Travel Radio Show. You were listening to music off my iPod for the first 15 minutes of the show. I just basically made it 9:45 because I didn't want to go through the same shit I went through last time where I couldn't get on.
You're trying to fight for airtime?
Well, I was just making sure, I don't, remember last time I couldn't do the show because my phone, I don't know whether it was my phone or the show or what.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to avoid that, so I just went on time and let the music play till you came on. But happy anniversary, too, we've been doing this show for 1 year. It was 1 year on Monday that we've been doing this show.
Yeah.
And it's weird, because technically that was our second interview, because the first recording didn't actually record. And we had this awesome hour-long conversation, and it didn't record. That really sucked.
The recording exists somewhere.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure. I feel almost certain about it. But yeah, man, I know we haven't had much to talk about, but I found that website that I that Space Ranger posted on the ATS thread, on the AboveTopSecret.com thread that we do, which is entitled, it's titled, If You Could Ask a Time Traveler a Question, What Would You Ask? And it's on AboveTopSecret.com if you want to check it out. And Bart is is OTD, or on the deck, as in on the deck of the craft.
Not the other.
I was trying to avoid
not your
that.
Not your colorful. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I realized? There's the Wu-Tang Clan, the rap group. One of their guys is called Inspector Deck. And,
oh, really?
Yep. And his lyrics, he actually does say a lot of stuff with paranormal in his lyrics. Actually, the Wu-Tang Clan, not the main guys, but a lot of the members, they fucking talk a lot about paranormal stuff. The one guy, his name's the Jizza. He also calls himself the Genius.
Yeah.
He came out with an album, and it's nothing but paranormal, and he's talking about, Atlantis and all sorts of crazy things like that. It's pretty cool. My friend the Metamorphosis recommended it, actually. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that site I found, man, that on Galactic server that I post, that Space Ranger posted.
The Space Ranger posted?
Yeah, that that wild and crazy guy. And I just found most of those stories simply amazing, man, because, I mean, these are what really hit me hard is the fact that these are from between 1945 and I think 1984 possibly. But let's put it this way, these stories are mostly in the 50s and 60s, you know? The oldest one's in like 1940 something, and the newest one is in like 1973, which happens to be the year I was born. And check this out. They had a contact in one of the stories, man. I got to get it in front of me. In one of the stories, the guy had a date to meet with the aliens on November 18th, 1973, the day I was born. In one of the stories, I found. Let's put it this way: out of like the 10 stories there, I found like a bunch of corroborations, you know, with stuff I've said in the past. And I mean, you know, if anybody can turn around and say like, you know, well, these stories are 20 years old, that's where you got half your material from, or something to that effect. To me, I mean, I don't really care what anybody says, but all I'm saying is, I swear, I never saw any of those stories until the other day. Yeah. Not one of them, except for the Billy Meyer story, of course. But other than that, I didn't see. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, I posted a link to the website you're talking about on the chat board, but the website's galactic-server.com.
Okay. Oh, and say, I want to give a special shout-out to C. Kemp 6205 is his screening. What's up, bro? But anyway, yeah, I mean, on that site, let me click on that link. Oh, let's see. The UFO contact from Coldus, I read UFO contact from a cart. Now, a cart, their story is interesting. The title is A Planet Without Money, and they're basically human, they say they're pretty much exactly like us, you know, like as far as their appearance and stuff. Yeah. And they were the planet that, in the Billy Meyer story talks about, that was overcrowded, that like they had like something like 24 billion people when they like liberated themselves, and then a bunch of refugees came there, and they ended up having 126 billion or something like that, some ridiculous amount of people on their planet. And they basically said, yes, we would like to invade Earth, but only by definition. They said that from their observations of us, that where it's only natural that we're going to destroy ourselves and basically kill everyone on the planet again in another nuclear war. So they're saying as soon as that happens, they have all the stuff to come clean the air and fix it. And as soon as that happens, they're just going to come take over our planet. But it's not an invasion. We already killed ourselves. So they're just peacefully coming and just taking over the planet, and that's their intention. Unless, of course, we, you know, move to the next level in our universal, you know, evolution.
So if we don't step up, then they're going to step in.
Right, and they, in that story, the Akart story, just the fact that it says a society or a planet without money, I mean, I said this straight out of, like, smoke a year ago, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, saying that there was going to be, you know, the money system was going to eventually be gone on our planet, and it was just going to be everybody gets what they need. They're provided for. And the story, Akart, basically describes exactly that. It basically says that everyone, you know, but it's a little different. Like, they have a work system where everybody has to work more than a couple hours a day, which I don't like. And plus, they they sat there. They actually became hypocrites because from the last thing that they wrote about them is they actually destroyed themselves and cut their population down to like 1/10 of its size, like some major disease or either something biological or like some kind of calamity happens where it cut, where they actually experienced their own apocalypse before where they thought we were gonna.
Yeah.
But that's just one, that's one. Then there's Coldus, and they pretty much say the same thing, that they don't have money on their planet, and that it's a community, and they also say that they talk a lot about the potential abilities that humans have, they communicate telepathically, they can levitate stuff, they're thousands of years technologically advanced, and they're saying that they have stations, bases, like floating around in space at certain areas because they're part of the Galactic Federation. And that's another thing that these all have in common is they're all part of this Galactic Federation. That's in like every one of the stories too. And what got me turned on to this site to begin with is this Larga story from the planet Larga. They're these, I guess you could say, humanoid beings, but they look like their heads, their bodies are completely different. Not completely different. They have 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, a mouth, and 2 ears, like we do, but they look like, sort of like animals. They look like sort of like a horse face or a donkey face with a weird shaped skull that has like a mohawk, which is part of the bone structure. And anyway, what made that story significant to me, just out of the gate to begin with, was the fact that they're animal-type looking beings. I mean, not to offend them, because I don't want to compare them to animals, but they look, if they're real, man, they look a lot different than we do. And according to the story, they're very peaceful people, and according to their story, they lived on an overpopulated planet, and they didn't have a money system either. It was a big community that everybody contributed to, and and they did not believe in religion. They just believed in the Creator, the creation source. And that was the other thing about the other ones. They still believed in like a second coming of a savior of some kind. So I thought that was a little off. I just thought this planet's probably been through the same shit as us, except they're more technologically advanced, And then, I don't know, did you read any of it, Bart? Because I can go on and on about it, man.
Oh, that's excellent. I think. Yeah.
Go on.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I read like 10 books, man, in the last couple of weeks, and almost every single one repeats what I've said. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, in reality, I'm actually repeating what they said, except the difference is I had no influence whatsoever from this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No influence at all.
There are a ton of stories on that website.
Yeah, and let's see, a little bit further down after Larga, there's Umo, and according to this book, the people from planet Umo are, they're only slightly more evolved than us, like they conquered space travel, but they can only go so far. They can't go to the ends of the universe, like the Pleiades, for example. You know what I'm saying? Or the Plagerans from the Billy Meyer book, and these other people called the Coldus people. Those two people say they can travel as far as they want for as long as they want, and they've got the human body mastered. They're on, I think, the 7th level out of 9. They say 9 is the highest level of evolution, and the Pleiades are at like number 7, I think, or something like that. Then there's this other sick story. It's called Co-Evolution, and it's basically, the subtitle's Time Travelers That Needed Our Help. So obviously that was intriguing for me to read that one. And that book is basically about these people who came in, another group of aliens, but they were somehow caught between the third and fourth dimension, but they were extremely technologically advanced, and they didn't live in a totally physical state like we do, but they did live in a physical state. They were just not as dense, like, the way I think of it is if you pinch me, if you pinch my body in 3D, it has a starting, and it's, I guess, harder. And I guess in their density, maybe when you pinch their body, it's much softer or lighter or something to that effect, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they basically said that they were our ancestors from the future, and the planet that they inhabited is ready to die, and their race is ready to die because they can no longer support themselves. They're somehow in other words, they were, from what they described, they were sort of cloning themselves and making new bodies for themselves, as I described in the past. And they ran out of they ran out of material or something to that effect, and then they want to come. What they're trying to do is come live on Earth. They're asking for our permission if they can come, and they're trying to reverse evolution back to us so they can come live among us and basically just share their technology and and they all say the same thing. They all say, they'd love to come here and show us the technology and help us evolve faster. But the problem is they're afraid that if they give us the technology, that it'll go straight to being made for use of a weapon instead of to, as a tool in the community for the greater good of humankind. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. In other words, there's always going to be some asshole who fucking says, yeah, you know what? I could wipe fucking, China off the face of the map with that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And these people happen to be in power. And I don't know, a lot of developments actually, past couple of weeks. I know Ned posted this interview from Coast to Coast with this guy named Dr. I think Goldberg.
Yep.
And that guy said a bunch of stuff. He said ETs and time travelers built the pyramids, which, is exactly what I said a long time ago. Or even not, and I found it on an ATS thread where I said it to that guy particularly. And it was even corroborated, not that it matters much, but it was corroborated by ST and BG. He agreed with me on that one, except he said it was nothing but ET. And at first I was like, huh? But then I realized, yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
And then, let's see. And he also said that there's 4 different kinds of men in black that, police the universe, and I think I forgot how many sets of them are bad. One men in black are the good guys, at least, and then the others are bad, or it might be the opposite. One of them are bad and the other 3 are good. I don't know, something weird like that. Which is kind of what I said. I said there's more than one kind of men in black there's got to be because, the ones I met, they looked like regular people. They just were dressed in black suits, like the movie. But then you got people like Dan Burris saying that he had ones that looked like fucking zombies, and he even went as far as explaining how they became the way they were. They said they were actually taking dead bodies and possessing them. These fourth density creatures that they were dealing with. But, I don't know, it just seems like for the past couple of weeks, stuff's been just slapping me around, man, mentally. And this site, just forget about it, just really hit home because, see, this site, I realize it's not originally an English site. It's like in German or Swedish or Dutch or something like that, and most of it's translated into English. So it's nuts because a lot of the books that I read were translated into English. They were not, English was not the original language they were wrote in.
Yeah.
You know. And then let's see. Then there's this other story from these people from Corindor, they're called. And the Janos people, they had a sick story, or Danos, they're called. Their story was they also came from an Earth-type planet, and what happened on their planet was the planet was doing just fine, and the moon basically finally came too close to the atmosphere and broke up and rained rocks on the entire planet while it was, revolving around it. And they had nuclear power, but they were peaceful. Like, they never had wars or anything like that. Like, they evolved perfectly. You know what I'm saying? In other words, no, they not perfectly. Peacefully is the better word. And what happened was they didn't use nuclear power to power their planet, to power everything, and they had main stations all over the planet they had nuclear power plants basically all over the planet, like the same way we have it, except it was free. And what happened was they were totally prepared for the rock storm. Like, they had huge motherships and halos built revolving around their planet, waiting. They were preparing for the calamity. You know what I'm saying? They knew it was coming, but they didn't. Yeah. But they didn't calculate good enough because it came early. And when they started evacuating all the people on the planet, a lot of them went underground into these underground bases they built because they anticipated the rocks hitting the surface. So they figured everybody'd be safe underground, and they built vents and all this. And what happened was the rocks hit the nuclear power plants, and they all started exploding, like, all over the place, and created a nuclear fallout on the planet as if there was a nuclear war anyway.
Yeah.
And all the people stuck down in the caves became, they mutated from the radiation, and they all became sick and started dying in droves. And basically they revolved around their planet in the base, just in the atmosphere of the planet. They revolved around their own planet for like hundreds of years, literally. And then eventually went back down to their planet, after all the nuclear fallout was done. But I think they're still waiting for it to recover. Like, it's still not fully recovered, their planet. They're working on it. I don't know. It's just pretty amazing stories, man. I mean, whether they're real or not, I really couldn't know. I mean, I kind of feel like, how far-fetched could they be? I mean, look at my story,
Yeah.
That's like, I ponder every once in a while. I think to myself, you got people like, who come out. I'm just going to, like, somebody like Dan Baruch, right? The guy sits there is telling you he's been working with gray aliens, P-52s, P-33s, P-27s, and, they all look like, they look like these big bulbous head gray aliens, right? Or not gray, whatever color they are, right? But then he turns around and makes a comment about, like, the lizard people or whatever they call them, the reptile people. And It's nuts because he's sitting there telling you, you're supposed to believe him, he worked with grays, but then he thinks the thought of reptilians is nuts. I ponder that. I think to myself, how could he think like that? The only way he could is that... Go on.
I was gonna say
Please rationalize it.
I was gonna say SP and BG said that Dan might have had some stuff, his head played with a little, like, technologically.
Like we said in the past, he must be compartmentalized. He's one of the need-to-know people and not to know everything people.
Mengard.
I'm not mad at. Yeah, Mengard.
Mengard says it from the We Are Gathering thread and the Higher Light Answers for Questions. He said that one of his mentors or his guides when he was, I guess, a while ago was a reptilian.
Well, like I said, man, why not? I mean, we have all these stories about grays. We have stories about, all these other types of beings. Why discount them? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, for Christ's sake, we got people talking about the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot. Why shouldn't lizard-type looking people exist? Why shouldn't any other kind of person exist? You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking at the Janos people story, and they look like a pretty average family.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, the Janos people grabbed the whole family. They took a whole entire family out of their car. They took the mother, the father, and the son and the daughter, and they basically, just gave them the whole spiel and said, hey, do us a favor and go write a book about it and tell everyone about us. Because the Janos people basically want to join us, too, as refugees. They want to come share they are hoping we will share the earth with them. See, the one thing that I found pretty outstanding about all the humanoid type people, the ones that look like us, is only one out of the 10 stories I read said that they can instantly fix nuclear fallout, and that was the people from a cart. And they're the ones who, like I said, they were that overpopulated planet that the Pleiades were talking about. And they said that when we destroy ourselves, they're just going to come in and, fumigate the planet and get it back to normal before all the nature dies and becomes contaminated. So I can't help thinking to myself, how come all these other planets that did suffer from nuclear fallout didn't go to them for help? You know what I'm saying? Especially because they're part of the galactic, Federation. Why are they floating around our planet talking about they had a nuclear fallout when they can just go to this planet, a cart, and ask them for help and say, hey, do us a favor, show us how to fix our atmosphere, I mean, but, this is based on reading these books. I mean, who knows which one's fiction and which one's true, you know what I'm saying? But just the thought, wow, if there's a nuclear fallout, somebody's got the technology out there to fix it immediately. That's a nice thought, you know what I'm saying? But out of all these stories, I got to say my favorite one is the Tayuba, it's called. It's right above the Janos one. The Tayuba one was about these tall people that are like 8 feet tall, 9 feet tall, and they all look like beautiful women, but they're not women. They're hermaphrodites. They're half man, half woman, and they all have like breasts and everything else. And they say they're on the highest evolution, which is the 9th level. And and that book I think was the most intriguing. It talked about how they did plant Jesus, purposely, and they did want to create the outcome that is immediately had before it was, before the Bible was edited. And it's a very interesting story. They said that the Jesus Christ that healed, there was 2 Jesus Christs. One was born, they said, and he really did leave his parents when he was 14, but he never came back ever. And then they said when he was supposed to be 30 years old, the Jesus that appeared was a new Jesus, a brand new body, and it was one of the Tayuba people who basically transferred their soul or their astral body into the Jesus body. and then they prove Jesus to be correct to people because their big thing is they say everybody wants proof, and it's not just on Earth, it's everywhere, you know what I'm saying, where people want other people from other planets to prove themselves in one way or another or whatever. And it's an interesting story, man. Very interesting, you know. And they lived in a utopian society where there was no money, and you know, everybody did their part for the community on their particular planet. People worked, I believe, 2 to 3 hours a day for the community, and then all the rest of their time was free. Oh no, I'm mixing it up. The Largan people, they're the ones who work 2 to 3 hours a day. The ones that look, you know, for lack of a better term, more, you know, animalish than we do. But from what I read, they seem like a very nice, you know, they all seem nice. Like a lot of them, I don't know how to put it. Like they seem, from what I read, they seem like they are evolved or just very peaceful, I guess. Not nice, just peaceful, you know. And it could only make sense. Another thing is they all claim to have abilities to blow things up in a big way, but they just don't because they know they don't need to. You know, there's no power struggles. You know, and that's the other thing. The Tayuba people, they basically said that the first people to inhabit our planet was I forgot the name of their planet, but they're saying that the first people to inhabit our planet at basically the same time, like they both landed on different parts of the planet, like just within like a couple of days of each other or something like this, is black people and Asian people. And they said what planets they came from in the book, but I can't remember exactly. And they're saying that the black people that originally came here, they didn't look the way they look now. He said they said that their hair was more softer and stuff, and that after the nuclear wars of times before Atlantis is when they sort of evolved into that from nuclear fallout. And they said that the people in the Middle East are basically a mixture of Chinese and black people, which I thought was very interesting, you know. And man, it's a sick story, man. Let me tell you, very, very intriguing, man. I couldn't stop reading it for like 2 days, 3 days. I read the whole thing like twice, you know. But the main reason why I'm bringing up all these books, Bart, is because they all echo something that I've said, or vice versa. I echo something that they have said. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm tired of this fear of there being just more control and it's weird. Like I feel like I'm breaking out of the fear. You know, it's more like the trapped feeling. I guess I feel like I'm trapped, like in a sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, like what can I do besides write letters and stuff to my slow ass politicians if one day I turn around and my kid's got to get an RFID chip implanted in them at some fucking facility. I mean, what are you going to do, Bart, if they want me or you to do it? You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking like next year. I'm talking like, you know, soon. What can we do about it? We're trapped, you know. They say we need not be concerned with this stuff. You know? Oh, hey, what's up? Cyber Wasp is here. Oh, Bart, you got muted. I'm sorry. Bart, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can. I don't know how the hell you got muted. I didn't touch it. I wasn't even looking at the damn webpage.
I actually hung up I hung up and then had to call back.
Oh, okay. All right, no problem. You got muted. What's up, Cyber Wasp? How's it going, bro? But, yeah, man, I just rambled for like 20 minutes. But I don't know, Bart. I highly recommend reading that stuff. I mean, I can't tell you whether it's fiction or what. No big deal, but it's awesome reads, man. And I mean, for me, you know, to read, like, to know that me and you did a radio interview like almost a year ago covering a lot of the stuff that they say just blows me away, you know what I'm saying? Like, when it comes to a religion, they all echo the same things I've been saying, that I almost feel like I came to my own conclusion on that one. And then the whole money thing of there being no money and you know, how it's just everybody contributes. It's like a world community. And what's funny is all these people, right, when you read the books, you realize they're based in the 60s because everybody's worried about the same damn thing. And, like, they always compared all the planets that they showed them peacefully, and everybody, you know, everybody is given what they need to live life, you know. And they always say it. It's like, oh, well, that's like communism. It's like communism. And I think the best word to use is communityism. It's communityism. It's not communism. Communism is where people are still fucking slaves to the government. And communityism, the community rules, the community, you know, is autonomous. I love that word.
Autonomous.
I do, because of what it means. It means self-running, you know. And I don't know. I can identify with it. But you can't be if you live on this world, man, no matter where you live, you know. Hey, if Cyber Wasp is listening, I want to ask, I know you live in Australia, Cyber, so my question basically is it true that that in Australia, when people propose new laws, that the whole country votes on the law and not necessarily just the politicians like they do here in the United States? Is that true? He wrote yes, but he didn't write yes to the question. He just wrote yes as in yes, I'm here. If anybody's looking at the chat board.
Oh, there he added to it.
Referendum. See, now you're talking lawyer talk, buddy. I don't know what referendum is. Speak to me like I'm 3 years old. See, I don't know, man. And that's the other thing that I read in the books, that their sort of political systems are swift. Like, they don't, you don't go through 3 years of debating and bullshit before a law is passed when it's too late and nobody gives a shit no more. It happens, like, immediately on these other planets. And it's not even like a law. It's more like an agreement that everybody, or a realization everybody comes to. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's what a referendum is?
Yeah. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
So, have you found any new and exciting things, Bart? I know you've been heavy on the Comet Holmes for a little while there.
I know. I had to cut back.
Well, hey, man, I mean, you know, your case was pretty, I mean, the articles that you posted on the site were just pretty in-depth and pretty convincing. You had me convinced, I'll tell you that. I don't know what to think. Is that thing, is it really a comet? Is it a, is it a planet? Is it some mechanism? Is it some, man-made machine that has some crazy purpose,
I don't know. I think it's I don't know. It's right now. It's supposed to be. At least I read on the Godlike Productions thread. It's supposed to be like something like 22 times the size of the sun. The coma, the debris surrounding it. I don't know if that's true or not.
Wow.
But I think that's just one of the interesting things that are like happening right now in our solar system.
Yeah,
it's
amazing, man. Got the above from the new call.
Yeah, I found it was linked in a GLP thread, but there's a book called there's a website called thenewcall.org. It's thenewcall.org. And there's a book
Bart,
called The New Call. Yeah.
Can I ask something, Bart?
Yeah.
Do you still think that I should not share my free energy inventions with the world? Last time I asked you, you said no, and you said it pretty damn quickly.
Oh, I said you shouldn't, or you should?
I was like, Bart, I told you I was considering putting all my free energy ideas down on paper and posting it up on the internet, and you told me immediately, no, I should not. Do you still? Well, I guess you still feel the same way.
I don't know. No, I hope I didn't say that. I think you could. I can't remember why I would say no.
Well, you told me not to. You said I should wait. And I held your opinion in very high regard, which I still do.
Well, CyberWatch says you can share it with him.
Okay, Cyber. Yeah, but the difference is I already did share it with you, Bart.
I know.
And you see how simple it is that, if you truly understand it, you got to say to yourself, how come nobody thought of this already? You know what I mean? It's a surprise, and at the same time not a surprise coming from somebody like me who, doesn't exactly have the best intellectual track record. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's not true.
And by no means am I a scientist. I was a beer-drinking, pot-smoking guy in a band up until, I impregnated my girlfriend/wife. You know what I'm saying? And then I became a computer technician. That's one thing I can say. For some reason, I did pick up computers pretty quickly when they first came out in my brother got one in 1994 that ran Windows, Windows 3.1. And I don't know, I did pick it up pretty damn quickly, I gotta say. Like I understood it. I don't know, I guess from being a gamer, from like being experienced with like Commodore 64 and all that when I was a kid,
Yeah.
But what do you think now? Do you think you think that now maybe would be a good time to share my free energy ideas?
You could create a web page that has that. Well, I think you could create a web page where you can...
The thing I'm worried about, though, is I don't want somebody taking the idea and saying it's theirs. Like, I want to make it where it's truly, like, open source. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how, like, you go to open source or sourceforge.net, and they have all those open source softwares where, you know, it's free to download, it's free to use the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? They encourage you to take it and make it your own. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I want to do. Like, you know, like, I guess the problem right now is people would automatically think of making money off of it. But I'm thinking maybe even if they do make money off it and it goes into production, maybe when the world finally changes and money goes away, all these productions will already be in place. You know what I'm saying?
I think if we get to that point, though, then we're talking about different kinds of, completely different kinds of, like, energy sources, you know. Like,
say it again?
I think when we get to the point where, you know, money becomes obsolete, like when all these changes sort of occur, there are going to be different energy sources, going to be much more advanced than
yeah, but, you know, it's going to go both ways. There's going to be super-duper advanced, mind-blowing shit, and there's going to be...
Goodbye.